Semantic gravity theory describes why some meanings keep pulling attention back toward themselves. In a shared semantic field, attention does not distribute evenly. Some concepts, narratives, identities, or events become persistent centers of attraction. They hold attention, gather interpretation, and reorganize surrounding discourse around themselves. This is what semantic gravity refers to. It is not about physical force and not simply about popularity. It is about structural attraction. A semantic structure has gravity when it repeatedly draws attention flows, interpretive activity, and narrative reinforcement toward itself. The stronger this gravity becomes, the harder it is for nearby interpretations to move freely outside its influence. Gravity formation. Semantic gravity forms when several conditions begin accumulating around the same structure. These conditions often include symbolic density, identity, relevance, narrative resonance, attention amplification, interpretive reinforcement. When these elements converge, a semantic structure becomes more than noticeable. It becomes a stable attractor inside the field. Attention accretion. Once semantic gravity forms, attention begins gathering around it in a self-strengthening way. The process often looks like this: distributed signals to attention, convergence to interpretive engagement, to narrative reinforcement leads to stronger gravity. Each new interpretation does not simply add commentary, it can increase the structure's pull. This is why attention often attracts more attention. Gravitational field. A semantic structure with gravity reshapes the space around it. Interpretations circulating nearby tend to align themselves relative to the gravitational center. This can produce patterns such as topic convergence, narrative clustering, framing alignment, persistent discourse focus. The result is not only repetition, it is reorganization. Other meanings begin moving differently because a strong center is already present. Escape dynamics. Not every interpretation remains caught. A semantic field can loosen when attention shifts elsewhere, new semantic centers emerge, contradictory evidence accumulates, field fragmentation increases. But strong gravity can delay this process. In more extreme cases, a semantic center becomes so dominant that surrounding interpretations can no longer easily exit its influence. When this happens, the field begins moving toward collapse around a single center. Gravity and curvature. Semantic gravity is closely related to semantic curvature. Curvature describes the distortion of interpretive space. Gravity describes the attractive force that helps generate or intensify that distortion. The relationship can be described simply: semantic gravity to semantic curvature to distorted interpretive trajectories. When a field becomes strongly curved, meanings do not travel neutrally. They bend toward the dominant center. Gravity and entropy. Semantic gravity also interacts with entropy. High entropy environments contain many dispersed and competing interpretations. Gravity acts locally against that dispersion by concentrating attention in one region. It does not remove entropy everywhere. It creates pockets of local concentration inside a broader field of interpretive spread. Structural consequence. Semantic gravity helps explain why some topics, identities, and narratives continue to dominate attention even when many alternatives exist. They do not survive only because they are repeated. They survive because they function as attractors. Meaning does not circulate evenly. It gathers around centers strong enough to shape the paths of interpretation around them. Naming declaration. The semantic gravity theory originates within the meta-writing Ecology as a structural description of how certain semantic structures persistently attract attention, interpretation, and narrative circulation within a shared semantic field. It is not derived from media agenda-setting theory, memetics, popularity metrics, influence models, or information diffusion frameworks. Although the term gravity borrows from physical language, it does not refer to physical attraction. It describes the structural tendency for attention and interpretation to accumulate around specific semantic configurations. Within this framework, semantic gravity names the condition in which a concept, narrative, event, or identity field becomes a persistent attractor inside the semantic environment, reorganizing surrounding interpretation through continued attention accretion and reinforcement.